State Senator Craig Blair, our guest right now at Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Craig, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
We talked with Mike Carl on Friday as he was headed to Charleston to present to you and some others involved in hearing this, his tax reform plan for the state of West Virginia. What did you think, Craig, having read his report and then hearing him present it?
Well, it wasn't really a presentation of it. What it is that as a tax reform committee, we've got a select tax reform committee that we're looking at how we can bring West Virginia into the 21st century economy. And Mike's got his Fair 55 tax plan, and, that is a component of it. And, of course, that's built off of the Fair Tax Plan of 1999. The chairman of this select committee is Senator Robert Carnes, who has his own plan as well. And what we're doing is trying to meld together and I guess maybe I better stop with that for a second and tell you what our ultimate goals are of this plan, of this committee. And that is to work on a strategy to eliminate the state income tax, eliminate the personal property tax as well. Now, you say, well, why are you wanting to do that? We're looking at other states that have actually shown prosperity by changing their tax plans, making it so that we've got a stronger economic environment in West Virginia. What I'm speaking of is get more people back to work and being taxpayers. And we know that we've got a huge cash underground economy as well as in this state. And we have so many different groups that are avoiding taxes. So we're looking at how we flatten that tax base out, broaden it, make it fair. But to even do this, we've got to be able to demonstrate to the people of West Virginia that, wait a minute, number one, this is going to be revenue neutral, but we've got to be able to make it so that they see that, look, we're going to reduce government. We're going to maximize the efficiency. And when we do that, then we can put in place the things that will allow our state to grow and prosper. And when I say our state, I'm talking about individual people that are going to work and giving them opportunity.
Craig, are you looking at any other states? You mentioned about some that do not have a income tax or a personal property tax. Are you looking at any other states specifically to compare numbers?
Oh, absolutely. And see, this is where we're bringing in the experts as well to do that. But, you got Texas, Florida, South Dakota. I think there's 2 or 3 more that have done away with their state income tax or never had it to start with. But these are the states that are very much so prospering. But you can't look at it as just that, though. You got to be looking at what the mechanics are that can be outside of that state income tax as well. This is where you bring in people to score it, like Cal Kent, Mike Carl used to be a tax commissioner, one of the brightest minds that we have in the state. We have the governor as well, and the governor is, I don't want to speak for him, but we're going to have the resources available to us that in our state government to provide us the numbers, the data that we need to be able to go in and see if we have an opportunity for this.
Senator, hi, it's David. Thanks for joining us today. I'm interested in the kind of the process, if you will, on this. If there is going to be meaningful tax reform ultimately decided, let's say out of this committee that you're serving on, there is a plan, if you will, that comes out. Does that then get introduced conceivably into legislation at some point this session, or is this a longer-term view at tax reform?
Well, that's a great question because we don't want to go in and make any mistakes. We're hoping that we see something sooner than later, and that's meaning during this session. But there's a lot of variables that come into play with this. And our first order of business, bar none, is to make sure that we get a balanced budget this year in the state of West Virginia. I'm quite confident that the governor has as much interest in this as what we do. And with that said, the governor can call us back into a special session at any given point in time if we needed to, when we know that we've got this together. And that we believe that we got a plan that we can put before the people, well, actually before the legislature. But I believe in the long run it's going to end up being before the people, too, to let the people have the opportunity to participate and vote and confirm whether we're doing the right thing or the wrong thing on this. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so.
Senator, I'm also interested in you mentioned several other states that have eliminated the property, the income tax, and replaced it with, some other kind of system, a consumption tax or a sales tax or whatever it might be. Why do you think those states flourish? I'm interested to know, why are those states flourishing economically because they eliminated the income tax? Can you connect the dots for me there?
Well, it's a trending mechanism, and that's where I was going at earlier when I said there's a lot of other variables that come into play on that, and this is what we got to delve into. So what works in Texas may not work in West Virginia. What works in South Dakota is a place that is an energy state as well, that's got a small economy like ours. That's one that we probably need to focus a little bit more on, to look and see what other mechanics are in place. Keep in mind that our Constitution keeps our property taxes, the real estate property taxes, we're the 46th lowest in the country. And so that variable comes in to play on being able to have the tax revenue to be able to run the state. But keep in mind that, and I can't stress this enough, because when we talk about this, we've got 64 tax exemptions right now on the sales tax. And a lot of those probably don't need to be there. Some of them do. Medical, I don't see why we should be taxing medical services and things like that whenever it goes right back into the insurance and just drives up the cost of health care. So it's really taking money from one pocket and putting it into another. We don't want to see that happen. But there are many other exemptions that are quite professional that make it so that our underground cash economy can actually work through the system and never pay a nickel in taxes. So we've got to be looking at all of those variables, and that's what this committee is going to do.
Are you at all afraid that if you come out of this with a legislation ultimately, or a constitutional amendment ultimately, that now places a tax on many of these services that are currently exempt, do you feel that you might open yourself up to having been the party of tax increases, or do you think this will be a bipartisan effort?
I would assume that it would be a bipartisan effort because of the discussions that I've had so far. But you never know. Things can change on that. Political winds change all the time. But we must remember that we're not going to do anything that is not revenue neutral, and that is going along with the fact that we're going to reduce government in West Virginia. We're going to maximize its efficiencies and get things running right in the state for the people. The people will never approve a change if they do not see changes taking place in their state government that gives them the confidence in what we're doing. But I can tell you right now that I'm not going to be parts of anything that is not revenue neutral.
Of course, sometimes when you get into, or oftentimes when you get into the whole topic of tax reform, and especially in a case where where the consideration is of eliminating the income tax, you get into the whole kind of left and right argument about progressive versus not progressive taxation. Income tax is considered a progressive situation because it taxes people who theoretically taxes people who make more, and taxes those who make less, taxes them less. Are you at all concerned about the pushback that could come from, let's say, a higher sales tax on services, if that were to be the route that you were to take, because it could be perceived as hurtful of lower income people?
What we're trying to do is make it so that we're not hurtful of lower-income people. And in fact, it's quite the opposite. We're wanting to turn lower-income people into the middle class. That's the problem that we have right now in the state of West Virginia. The poverty is rampant, and the further you go south in our state, the more likely it is to occur. We're trying to make it so that they do have economic opportunity in this state. And by doing what we've been doing in the past, it's only allowed the situation to get worse. Now, what I am concerned about, and you touched on it there just a little bit, is that those that have special treatment in the state right now are going to come out, and they're going to quickly start dropping misinformation, because there's a lot of it that we do not have nailed down yet. This is the beginning of the process. We're now a continuation of the Fair Tax Plan of 1999, but nothing ever came from that. But the political winds are changed in West Virginia now. We can see opportunities, and we wouldn't be doing the people of West Virginia a service if we did not try to at least break out of the pattern of failures that we've had in the past and examine opportunities to make it so that all West Virginians can improve their economic status in life.
Craig Blair is our guest here at Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, state senator representing our area, and recently talked with our Mike Carl, who hosts on this program on Fridays, about ways of reforming the state's tax code. About a minute left, Craig. This is obviously a huge undertaking and not something that can happen quickly. So if everything went well and all your dream lists were hit in terms of checking this box and that box, when would you foresee major changes taking place?
I see it as a phase-in more than anything, because, again, that's another aspect of West Virginia. Change doesn't happen overnight. I was one of the guys that wanted to eliminate workers' comp overnight. I learned years ago that, wait a minute, I was wrong on that. You actually have to be able to give an opportunity to phase things in. That's exactly what is going to take place in combination with the governor's office and the legislature and the people of West Virginia. We're going to look at creating a path to prosperity for all West Virginians, just not a select few.
Senator, thanks so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate you squeezing us in today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.